Evening, folks. Hope you're having a great day. I'm going to do, I was going to do this offline. I wasn't going to do this live. But I changed my mind. I figured you can see me make mistakes as well as anybody. And I needed to get this done by 7 p.m. tonight, one way or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this key switch and document it so that I can make the guide for it. We've got Scott up in Pennsylvania is waiting for it, and we've got kids over at Gravy who are probably going to be able to make this if I send the instructions to Steve. I see Chad. How are you, Chad? I'm glad you're here. I am in a different setup. I'm doing soldering in the video room, which is it's been a no-no until now, so we'll see how this goes. But we're going to go ahead and configure and build. Let's see if I can get this right. Everything's in the wrong place. Sorry. Hold on a sec. There we go. All right, we are going to build one of these. Okay, so this is a 5-switch interface that we talked about fairly recently. It's got soldered on. Hello, Lori, my lovely wife, who's waiting for me at home, and the reason that I have to get this done by 7 has just joined. Janet, good. How are you? So we are going to make one of these. Okay, so outside of the 3D printed box, this is what you end up with. It is the custom PCB board that we had made with a Adafruit trinket M0 mounted on directly. Hard to take off, but intentionally directly to make it small. On the other side, you'll see there are 5 jacks. And basically what this does is it wires these 5 jacks as 5 inputs to this device, which can be programmed to send keystrokes, mouse strokes, or mouse clicks, mouse movements, or like gamepad controller to the PC when it's plugged in through USB. So we're going to make this, and it's going to be a good example of why it's so handy to be working on PCBs. And as long as I do this in the right order, this should be easy. I'm doing it without a big magnifying glass, so I may butcher a couple things here. We'll find out. And I do have my soldering iron. I have a fine tip soldering iron right here, which I'll clean better than it is. I don't have my my fume extractor. I don't have my good stand here for this thing, so we'll see how well this works. I probably will turn off my camera while we get started, but while I can still see, while you can still see me, I will walk through what we're going to do. First, we're going to put the headers onto the feather. And we are just using this whiteboard to hold the headers perfectly straight up and down. So we're going to solder those on first. Then we are going to put the center, the green center center jack onto the board here, just like that. And the reason we do that one first is that it goes underneath the feather. And it's kind of important that we do this one first so that we can actually get to the pins to solder the feather down. Then we'll solder the feather on, and we'll do the other ones working our way out. It should be about 10 minutes. It'll probably take me about 15 to 20 because I'm going to talk my way through it. But it shouldn't be hard. There's no wires to strip. There's no cutting involved. It's just a matter of carefully soldering things to PCB boards. So this should be nice and simple. So let me see if I can get this set up. I'm going to turn off my camera here, and I'm glad everybody's here. Glad you're here, Janet and Lori and Chad. I don't think Lori will stay. It says she's here, but I don't think so. I happen to know she's cooking dinner. So all right, so this should work. Yeah, this should work. You guys should be able to see this pretty well. All right, so first things first, we always make sure we tin the tip of our soldering iron. I am doing this over a silicone mat, so I don't mess up my brand new desk here. I really have kind of a lousy sponge to work on here. But this shouldn't be that hard. I should just be able to get this hot. Bring that in. And there's one. Oh, I really miss my, really miss my magnifying glass. I'm getting very old. Yeah, I think next time I'm going to have to bring in the magnifying glass. It's also got extra light, so that's good. But it's a little dark for me. All right, that is not my best solder work, but it'll work. You see on the side, the soldering points are all there. Chad says Lori's probably watching to make sure you shut down on time. Oh, Lori would rather I was already gone. So you're in Baltimore fixing lip syncs from my hotel room, right? That's what we do, Chad. So the only thing I'll tell you guys is to when you're doing this kind of work, make sure you heat up the pin, and then you bring in the solder, right? You don't try and drip this on there or try and bring them together. You heat up the pin, the pad, and then you bring in the solder. So just like that, okay? Some people stress out about getting this in the right spot or making it hard to solder to PCB boards. You'll see here there's a little gold ring around the pin. So what that is an exposed pad, and the black part around it is the solder mask. It actually holds the solder in place for you as you solder. So it makes it actually quite easy to solder to a PCB board. So this is pretty good. These all look like decent solder joints. There's one here that could use a little more solder, but it's good enough. And we will call that done. We'll pull that out, and this guy is ready to go. He's ready to be soldered onto the board. Okay, so step one is done. So step two, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to bring over my green, my center jack, and my board, right? So now this guy is supposed to go right here on the board, and I kind of want this to be a little more stable. It's a little wobbly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the other ones here just to support it. I'm not going to solder them in place right now. I'm just going to kind of place them in there. All right, so that's much more stable. And now I'm going to solder just this row for the green jack in. Same deal here. We've got basically a PCB we're going to solder to. These are big lugs, big pins, so we need a little extra solder. The reason that these are bigger than the other ones is that they actually are also physical support. They hold the jack in place when you're pulling and pushing the plugs into them. So they get a little bit of extra. And go ahead and solder this down. That's not bad. Okay, so physically it's connected, it's nice and flush, and that should work well. Okay, so that's the first of the jacks down. Now, as I said, the next thing we want to do is we actually want to put the feather in place. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and push that in like that. Now we're going to solder on the pins on both sides. It really is significantly harder to do this with the camera in place. I don't think I can get this a little brighter. It might help me too. Hold on a second. Well, that's why we don't do this in the studio. I'll show you why when we're done. mental note, we're going to pack the studio up into the workshop the next time we're doing one of these. All right. Wife calling. Catch you later. I think that's what he said. All right. Bye, Chad. Thanks for stopping by. All right. So let's go ahead and see if I can get back on track here. So we need to solder in these pins right here. Same approach. Make sure our tip is wet. There's one. There's two. Three. Four. Five. Okay, so those 5 are done. We can trim those if we want to with a flush cut, but we probably won't bother. We got to do this side. Make sure you guys can see that as well. I'm not sure I can fix that either. I'm trying really hard not to melt the plastic on the green jack. All right, let's take a quick look. All right, so everything is well attached and everything looks good. If I had a voltmeter or a continuity tester, I could check for shorts, but I really don't see any. They look fine. Okay, so those are the 2 biggest steps of this. The remainder are just putting on the rest of the jacks. So we can position those up in order, and see they go red. Let's see, they go red, black, green, black, blue. It really doesn't matter what order they go. If I had 5 colors, that would be better, but I don't. I can only seem to find the 4 colors: black, green, blue, and pink. And let me see if I can just get this out from the camera for a second, just to line these up. I'll put them right back, I promise. There we go. All right, so they're all lined up and ready to go. And we'll get started. You might notice that the black ones have fewer pins. That's true, they do. The reason for that, I think, I'm pretty sure, is that they don't have a built-in switch to measure when something is plugged in. The good news is we don't use that anyways. We don't have enough available pins on the feather to make use of them anyways, and so we don't. So the fact that there's basically a missing pin on this one, on the black one, doesn't really cause us any pain. It just means that there's a hole that doesn't get filled. Nobody cares, and we're almost done. Okay. Normally I would spin this around, but I won't. Well, yeah, I will. I'll just do it carefully. All right. Sorry, I stopped talking. Dead air, dead air. That's life. All right. So, let's take a quick look. Everything looks good. Actually, it's actually much easier for me to look on the video you guys are looking at. But this looks almost identical to the one we started with, right? So here's the one we started with. And yeah, looks great. Let's see if it fits in the case. It should. It's not necessarily simple to line up the holes here on this. You kind of have to jiggle it a little bit. There you go. So there you go. Pop the top on. And there you go. There is a place for 2 screws in there if we want to screw it down, but I'm not going to bother right now. And this is ready to be programmed, right? We plug this into the computer, copy over a Python file and a settings.ini onto that drive, and that is totally done. So that is all the work that it takes to make one of these. I see I've been missing some comments. Hi, Kathy. Glad you joined. But yeah, that's it. So this is ready to go. And that is how hard it is to make the key switch. So I appreciate you guys joining me. I'm going to keep my promise. Whoops, I'm way out of focus here. So I'm going to keep my promise and get out of here before 7. Just made it. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I think everybody can do that. It's not too hard. If you know how to solder at all, that is fairly easy soldering. As far as getting the PCB board, I don't know what's up with the camera there. So, let me switch off of that. I don't know what's up with that camera. So as far as getting the PCB board, we have these. We have them made. I just ordered another 100 of them. So if anybody wants to have a project where you make these, let me know. We can send you the PCBs. We may eventually charge you something for them, but at this point, if I can get some people to test them, I'll be happy to send these out if you'd like to make these and test them. So I appreciate your time, guys. Have a great evening. And hi, John. John, you're going to have to rewind it and watch. I got to get out of here. Thanks. Bye.